Well, good morning, everybody. Here's my setup for the forecast video today. I want to review the severe weather event we had yesterday and just have a couple of comments around it that I want to share with you. I want to walk you through this near-term forecast, which is going to be quite volatile in terms of temperatures, but we have some big questions as to whether or not we're going to be able to return more moisture to places that are extremely dry. I'm then going to walk you out into the longer range, talk a bit about El Nino, and then show you the new CPC forecast, and we'll finish it up with South America, okay? So my commentary around the severe weather event. So just to be honest with you, yesterday I was down here in Little Rock talking with a group of growers, and I was flying home last night to Chicago and then going to drive back down to Champaign where I live. And this is just one of the things about the career path I've chosen in atmospheric sciences versus some of my friends and colleagues. I just want to put this out there, okay? You know, while this massive severe weather event for this time of year was going on right here in my home state and neighboring state of Indiana, you know, because of the direction I've taken my career, I don't do the you know, what do you want to call it, the during event analysis. I don't just sit there and broadcast the entire time. My goal is to be talking about the risk of this days in advance, so there's preparation. Now, I bring that up because I just had a colleague ask, like, hey, you know, I watched these other two guys on the internet, and I think he was saying this to me down here in Little Rock, just to I don't know, almost apologize that he didn't follow me during severe weather. I'm like, yeah, you got to watch those guys. And I'll tell you who they are, Max Velocity and Ryan Hall, y'all. And I'm going to be very honest and clear with you. I love what these two guys are doing. All right. We have a different style, but those guys are willing to devote all of the time to just watch the event and keep you informed with all of our storm chasers that are out there. I think they provide a great service. So by all means, watch them. I just have a different career aspiration. I want to be able to diagnose the risk of having seasons like this, not the individual events. We just have different research objectives. That's all. And so please, you better be comparing my forecast to others. You need to be watching those other those guys that are going to stay on the event as it's unfolding. And I also just want to say this. I just want to tip of a cap to the Storm Prediction Center on just nailing this area. Now, let's finally get off of that image and show it to you. You had 7 tornado reports last night, right into your hail with this storm, strong winds. But I just want to remind you, so far in the year, we've had 63 tornado reports, and 43 of them came down here with the event that was last week. And don't miss this. I mean, we've had some very strong winds reported in California as well. Now, here's what I'm thinking about. Okay, this is the difference in approach to weather forecasting, and I think you need all of us collectively to inform you. My objective is we've had a discussion, right, about El Nino developing this spring and summer. Now, the speed at which we can get toward El Nino-like conditions will ultimately determine where our spring severe weather is going to set up. And there's been some research done on this, of course, and I pulled this off of NOAA's website, which cited numerous research papers that found that tornadic activity and hail activity has a tendency. This is not like, oh, it's going to be nothing. It just has a tendency to be lower around the Red River Valley or the Arkansas River Valley versus La Nina events, which tend to really ramp it up in that area. Now, we saw this last year with our La Nina, right? I mean, by April into May, we had flooded out so much of the Red River, the Arkansas River, the Tennessee River, and then, of course, the Delta. And my goal is to go, all right, if we go toward this, okay, and there is less severe weather here, you know what that also means? Hydrologically, there's less storms. With less storms, there's less water. And I want to know where we could see some early season drought pressure and what that might look like. So it's just a different approach. I wanted you to be clear on it, and I'm going to come back and talk about this again in a few minutes. But yes, last night's storm system was potent in the midsection of the country. And don't forget, I know you're not even seeing what came in the western United States. I'll show you that in a second. But this was a pretty large outbreak of strong to severe storms. And I enjoyed it. I got to drive home in the storms late last night that went over, I don't know, like near Kankakee. Beautiful lightning strikes, and it keeps me awake when I'm driving. But these storms are powerful. And we'll be doing damage surveys with the National Weather Service today to see what the destruction looked like. And I've seen some pretty rough pictures of some of the damage even early this morning. On the backside of it was all snow. I got a message from my colleague and friend Eric Hunt, who's here in Lincoln. I had just landed, and my phone buzzed. He's like, I already got 3 inches of snow on the ground right here. There's a heavy band, and it's still moving through parts of Iowa this morning. So a lot of this is snow early this morning here coming into this part of the Midwest. Now, these storms have quickly moved their way off to the east, and I just want to show you I was interested to watch them on satellite because they weren't deep. I thought these storms would have had just real deep towering cumulus, but on the infrared, they didn't hit those extremely bright colors indicating very, very deep cloud tops. Behind it, as the dry slot moved in right in through here, the winds picked up something awful. And I'm just going to be honest with you, I didn't sleep a wink last night. You know, I know a lot of you out there, homeowners that are watching, I've got 30 trees on my small little property here in east central Illinois, and 15 of them are tall white pine. And every time we have a wind event like this, I don't know, I just can't rest well knowing that those trees are getting tossed around in the wind. And on top of that, right in front of my house, I have like this massive pin oak tree. And I know it's a strong tree, but my goodness, I just worry, like I guess what most homeowners do. When I was a kid, you know what my dad worried about? We had a basement that would flood all the time. We just couldn't afford to fix it. And so my dad, I felt so bad for him. Every time it rained in the summer, he just couldn't sleep at all. Just worried if we'd have to go down there and bail out our basement. But anyway, sorry, a little nostalgic here because I didn't sleep a wink last night. Okay, what did we get out of this? Now remember, you're going to see these streaks in through here of where some of the storms came through and some locally heavy rain. So you're going to have some folks, I look at a big chunk of Indiana, which isn't drought. Like this whole region in through here is deep in drought. I mean, soil temperatures have come up and they just got dumped on with rain. Yes, the storms were severe, but it was great to see that. I'll show you the snow in just a few seconds on the backside. It's a bit more streaky through Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and farther to the north, a lot of this was snow. I'll show you more of that in a few moments as well. I just want to point out west, I mean, this by the way, is like round 3 and 4 that's coming through the west, and we've seen the mountains picking up, up to 6 inches of liquid equivalent. I've seen flooded out fields down here in Southern California. In fact, one of my colleagues sent a picture yesterday of a field of strawberries completely underwater. And as Matt mentioned yesterday, with the changes in temperatures, the onset of some snow and some heavy rains, this has been problematic after what was a very warm February. And we had some blooms in some of our tree fruits here and tree nuts, and it's been a bit of a problem. But I'll just say this about California. This moisture was critical. I mean, Matt mentioned yesterday, but I'm just going to say it. We don't need a miracle March this year in California. Sometimes you do. This time we just do not. I want to show you kind of in 2 different maps here the last 6 days of total snowfall. So again, this only goes up to late last night, excuse me, this goes up to early this morning. Sorry, but we saw right in through here. There's a little swath that came out of Nebraska, which had no snow on the ground. That picked up 5, 6, 7 inches of snow. It's still going in through this area today. And before that, we had snow that got into the upper Midwest, the Red River Valley of the North, and even out of Montana, all desperately needed. Before this, the entirety of the Missouri Basin had no snow on it. Then take a look at California. I mean, these values, just to have a look here, are the 48 to 60 to 72 inches. That's the last 3 days. If I take you back 3 days ago and show you the 3 days leading up to the 17th, remember that they had picked up 30 plus inches of snow in the Sierra Nevada. And that is why, if you look at the new snow data, we've now got some of the central Sierra Nevada at over their historic averages. And if you've never seen this, you can kind of blow up these graphics and have a look at them. California's water year right now, I mean, it was made up at the end of December, beginning of January, and then right here. And that's what's taken them above average. And so I think it's just important to always understand, that's what can happen. You can have 3 weeks of onshore flow and make up an entire year's worth of moisture in California. Now, sometimes when it never stops, look at how these values are. But they've currently got something around 14 inches of liquid in all that snow. Okay, just picking out that basin I mentioned right here. As Matt said yesterday, what's been great is that a week ago, I'll just show you a week ago. That's easy. Let's just go back. Let's go back to the 6th of February. This was all red. And what we've now seen is that with the events that have taken shape over the last few days, we've now seen a lot of these areas fill in. Now, we have a long way to go, especially in the Colorado Basin, through the rest of the Intermountain West. I'd like to see these numbers even higher as we work our way toward March. But this was great. We needed to get this. Now, there's a massive downside, and Matt talked about what happened in Tahoe yesterday. But if I just purely think about this with respect to water, the events that have unfolded over the last 10 days have been kind of mission critical to the success of the Western United States. All right, on the bigger scale. Now, this map has a 1-day lag, so it is only up to yesterday, okay? We have some holes that need filling in, here and here. And even though you see Texas wet, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. There are places down here that are extremely dry because in the month of February, late January and February, to be above average on precipitation doesn't take much precipitation. See what I'm saying? So you can go over to these colors and still be deep in drought. But you can see how dry we extend to the northeast. Florida is deep in drought. So much of the Four Corner states. And just lately, we've seen the values come up here, but the Pacific Northwest needs a lot of moisture as well. So to show you the latest data on 0 to 16 inch or 0 to 40 inch soil moisture percentile. So again, you have to think of this as a rank. Like this would be the wettest over the time period. This would be the driest. We can just see how much of the middle part of the country needs filling in. All right, now spring can do that. I could be talking about drought until I'm blue in the face, and then all of a sudden, a 10 or 15 day time period in March or April will wipe this out, just completely gone. And that's why I'm concerned. I'm going to be looking out there to see if there are any indicators. But I would like to point out, just because I don't want to focus so much here, but you look at this part of like this near the Palouse, or getting up here, south of Spokane. This is an extremely productive area that's missing Central Oregon. You can come down through much of the rest of the West. Golden Triangle still struggling. So we just have to think through this. All right, I mentioned the winds. I just want to show them to you this morning. They are ripping out of the southwest, and they're also right around this tightening low that's going over the Great Lakes. And we just had sustained winds, 30, 40 miles an hour all night long. Here it is fun to look at this. The deeper low off the coast. There's its front. And it kind of daisy chains into this one. And they often do that across the northern hemisphere. We lose it across the mountains because of elevation, but just neat to see that. Okay, I do need to talk to you all about something because this image was sent to me. Now, Matt showed you some incredible satellite imagery in his video yesterday, but I was sent this, and I was just asked, like, is this what the fires look like earlier this week? And the answer is absolutely not. And this, of course, is being generated by artificial intelligence. We do not have a distribution of cities in the central United States that looks anything like this. And this is huge. I mean, if this is supposed to be Texas and this is Oklahoma, like that's Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas. This is not what happened, folks. Okay. In fact, if you would like to see what it really looked like, take all of this and put it right there. And I want to show you, I'm going to link this so you have it, because I loved what Matt was showing the other day with these videos. But if you want to watch any of these, they're just incredible to see the fires here from space. Devastating. In fact, I heard that at times, because of the winds, some of these fires were spreading at a rate of 1 acre per second. Okay, that's how fast they're moving. We just have to remind ourselves that this is an area that's incredibly dry, and the dust and the smoke combined here. But I'll link this for you so that you can, anytime you want, go to this website and get some of this incredible satellite data. Just impressive. But I do want to point this out. This is what actually the burn scar looked like. And it was huge. 200, I think it was over 200,000 acres when it was all said and done. Did they say that somewhere up here at the top? But this is what it looks like today. Rather than all of central and northern Texas through all of Oklahoma. But that burn scar is large. It's just not as large as the image. So just be careful of some of the stuff you see on Facebook. And by the way, you can always send it to me and just ask, like, is this legit? And I will tell you if I know it or not. Now, what helped prompt a lot of this is look at this map. From the 6th of February to yesterday, the plains north to south were setting records in terms of temperature. Now, we talked at length about redistributing heat east to open up the jet stream pattern to come across like this, right? And this is part of that. But since the 6th of February to the 19th, I mean, that whole region has had its hottest such stretch of days, so the 6th to the 19th, if you compare it to every year, going back to 1893. Very, very mild and very, very dry. And as we think about it, the temperatures are changing pretty rapidly. Behind that front that just came through, we've dropped temperatures off over 30, 35 degrees in this area. And that's going to get us thinking about where we're going to go with this. All right, I'm still working on this new mapping system. I got the all hazards in here, and I hope you like this because you're able to hover and see, what's going on, like the winter storm warnings that are still here, the wind advisories over the Midwest. Come back to the western United States. I mean, down here we've got freeze warnings in places, okay, extreme cold warning, freeze warnings in the Central Valley of California. Matt talked a lot about this yesterday. And then coming out of the, the western plains here, the plateau, or the mesa, we've got red flag warnings again. And off farther to the east, there's still dense fog, and there's issues with snow in the northeast. So I hope you're going to be able to use this a lot better. I'm still working on some of the functionality, but this is just a quick look early this morning at the all hazards map. With the winds, I wanted to show you what we've got here. So let's just go ahead and take out the next 60 hours and look at how strong these winds are. So the one system clearing east will be bringing gusts, well over 40 miles an hour here. We then look back over parts in Mexico and Texas, and we've got 30, 40 mile an hour winds. And there's a powerful system lingering offshore that's going to be delivering some very strong winds out here. I mean, imagine what kind of waves you're going to get on 80 to 90 mile an hour winds just off the coast of, of Oregon here. But I'm going to flip this over and show you precipitation type and intensity, because I'm curious as to how the colder air is going to interact with creating snow versus rain. So we're playing through early this morning, watching the Great Lakes system plus the one that's going to be adding some snow here, which is desperately needed in the front range of the Rockies, in the Central Rockies as well. But take a look at the Northeast. By the time we get into, this is Friday night tonight, getting into early Saturday morning, I see rain showers spreading south, but watch the snow here. And what we're going to pay attention to is how that snow kind of wraps around the deeper upper level low. We could have some snow showers in north central Illinois, coming into lower Michigan, maybe out of southern Wisconsin, and then really hitting the Appalachian Mountains on their windward side, and possibly spreading over into parts of Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, hitting the Washington, D.C. area by the time we get into Sunday. Meanwhile, that deeper low is spinning off the coast and adding more to the Willamette Valley, hitting the Cascades. And you can see that again if I just take you back there, right in through here, rolling through that area. Okay, bigger picture though. The artificial intelligence forecast is showing something important. After seeing several days of forecasts with deep lows in the west dominating the pattern, we now see that they're trying to retreat. Okay? And what I'm curious about is, where does this ridge set up in the west? Is it just broad, which means we get clippers that run over the edge like this again? And where's the cold versus mild air going to be? So we switched, and this is what I mean by this kind of more open and changing pattern. There's a ridge and a ridge and a ridge. And this is not today. This is how the pattern is evolving going forward. So I was looking at it, and I said, well, let's just get a general idea. This is the European model 7-day forecast on precipitation anomalies. That takes you out to 10-day. Okay, so now I'm seeing a lot of dryness down here. We still have the activity in the northwest, but California, you're going to be out of it very, very soon. Okay, Southern California especially. We then get out there to week 2. I'll come back to that in a few minutes, but look at the next 14 days I'll put together. Where we've seen some severe weather, some locally heavy rains as of late. We're going back over quite dry in this area. Can you almost see it? We're doing that again. So we need to be talking about clippers, I think, rolling through this area and targeting more of the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia. On the temperature side of it, though, look at these swings. Here's our next 5 days, and then that's day 5 through 10. So we just Arctic shot, and then we're back to 15 to 20 degrees above average here. And this is very typical of March and April. Okay, we tend to go on pretty wild rides in terms of temperature patterns. So that is just your overview of where this is going. Let's now get into some of the details here. I want to look this morning side by side, GFS on the left, European on the right, because the models are pretty well timed on these next couple of systems. I mean, this looks very much like the NAM I just showed you. And then you'll see on the backside that the model, the GFS and the European, are not as aggressive at bringing the snow back into this area. So the snow showers you saw in the NAM, I think, will be quite a bit different from what we see in the GFS and the European. Then to the south, there's scattered showers and rain along a stalled out frontal boundary, deep low, like we talked about here on Saturday night, into the north and west. And then there you can kind of see that there is this push right there. Sunday, which the NAM did not capture, this is beyond the NAM, that could hit the mid-Atlantic. Now, GFS is aggressive, European is not, but it is going to be windy, and it is going to be cold on the backside of this as our next low hits the Pacific Northwest. Now, as that system rolls east, I will show you the snowfall maps in a second, but there is the look here already. I mean, we're only out 78 hours in the forecast of a potential coastal system that could drop some very heavy snows in mid-Atlantic getting up toward the northeast. So let's play it on forward and get past that system. There's some lake effect behind it, despite the lakes being 50% covered in ice right now. Most of that, of course, being Huron and Erie. And then we see the trajectory of the next system coming in like this. See that? It's kind of got that view to it. And as it does that, clippers go this way. And it's in both models. See this? This is Tuesday. Both models have this little bit different timing, but they're bringing the system through the Great Lakes while the Northwest is targeted. I'm going to show you just how much rain and snow we're going to get out of this, but you're going to notice a very familiar pattern coming back to this and this. And that gets us out there 150 hours, so we're out here to next Thursday, Friday. Models start to split a bit. See, the Euro's more aggressive with the system. GFS is lingering a bit farther behind. So beyond that, they do start to split, but we should get in there and just have a comparison between the two. And I'm going to start with the GFS. Total snowfall through the next week. If we just kind of play this out, and then let's take it right to about 1 week. There you go. So as I'm looking at all of this, I mean, real quick, here's the European on that time frame, okay, versus the GFS. And I'm thinking the GFS is the much more aggressive model on the snowfall totals here. Now, you cannot, please don't take this and go, DC is going to get 18 inches of snow. No, we're just looking at where the snow could possibly be. And then if I take you back over west, we still have a little bit more for the central Sierra Nevada, some more snow showers here throughout the Intermountain West. But the target area is going to be farther to the north. And that is in both models. With that jet stream coming in like this, yep, we're going to hit this northern Sierra, the northern Cascades and the northern Rockies, and then the coastal ranges up in British Columbia. On the European side of it, though, just to kind of take a closer look, you can see some of these snowfall totals not nearly as aggressive. There's still snow, 4 or 5 inches of snow here in the forecast, but it's quite a bit different. If we just slide back over to the west, very similar outlook. In fact, if I add more time in here, boy, the European is just hammering the northern Cascades, which we need. We need to get that snow into place. All right. Total precipitation. Look at what the European is doing here. I'm just going to play it quick. I just want to give you 15 days. Now, we don't want to take away, take the city labels off there. We don't want to just look at this and take the numbers from it, okay? Even though I left the numbers on there. I just want you to see that we've got a corridor here that's shown up wet, a corridor there that's wet, and then this activity, right? And the problem is that leaves these large areas in the central United States out of it. Now do you see why I go back and I'm like, all right, what's going to be happening here? Because if I continue to see this risk of places that are being drier, I mean, look at the next 10 days. The chance of going over 1/10 of an inch is 0 in parts of Texas. And I was with a guy yesterday, and his name's Joe Outlaw. We were together with Dr. Cole down here in Little Rock. And he's like, man, when are you going to give me some rain in San Antonio? I know I've got some of you that watch me in San Antonio, and I don't have it yet. Now, every year I've fallen into this trap where it's like February and early March, and I'm like, dust storms, dry, be prepared. I'm always worried. And then all of a sudden you can get one tiny change in the jet stream pattern. Gulf opens up here, and then we hit it. But in the near term, that's not happening. I just want to show you how much of the country, and do not leave Florida out of this. They are on the drought monitor, but how much of the country is still looking pretty dry right now. So where are we by day 10? Well, there it is. Remember that flow? We're back to that. And that's why the week 2 models all kind of have this view on them. Now the AI, which again, Matt mentioned yesterday, I just want you to know, these are all ensembles. This European ensemble, that's the GFS ensemble. This is a single run of the AI. It's got something in here, but it's an outlier. So we're going to leave it. We'll talk about it again next week once we think more about week 2. That's day 8 through 14 in the pattern. But this is it. This is the newest week 2 outlook. Okay, temperatures. Yeah, cold, but watch the flop over in temperatures here. Very mild in the southeast, cold most everywhere else. And Matt had mentioned the risk of these frosts. Daytime highs are barely getting up into the 50s here. This is tomorrow's highs on Saturday getting into Sunday. Look at that. Nice Arctic outbreak here for, late February. Getting into Monday, Tuesday, we just warm back up 30 degrees. I mean, we might crack 90 in parts like Midland, Odessa, That's next Wednesday and Thursday. So we're going to go on a bit of a ride. And I can show it to you another way. This is the European model every day. So here's the 20th, that's the 21st, 22nd. Sunday the 23rd is the big cold plunge that gets all the way into the southeast. Then you get out there, though, to the 24th and 25th, and the warm-up takes over while it's still cold in north central Canada. Then you see this. This is now another clipper coming through here on the 26th. We go out to the 27th, and just a huge warm-up taking place in the middle of the country for March. And we're trying to figure out this cadence and seeing what it's going to mean in terms of the delivery of systems. But I need you to see those daily variations, because I often show you, the 5 days blended together. And it misses this time of year especially the speed at which things change. Here's your next 5 days, and that's day 5 through 10, and this is day 10 through 15. And I've been going back and forth on just what we could see in terms of the extent of cold air getting let out here. I mean, early this week, I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. Then the middle of the week, as Andrew was covering and Matt was talking, I'm like, maybe this is going to come back. I'm not sure. But right now, I'm just going to let you know something. You might start to see a lot of chatter on social media about this right there, that image. Now, what's going on here? This is the forecast of the polar vortex, and it's over Europe. It's over Scandinavia. It's trying to work its way into Russia. But what's problematic is that at the very end of the forecast, just so we're clear, this is like March 3rd and 4th and 5th, it seems as though there's kind of a split vortex. Now, you might see this posted, but I want to be clear. Typically, the biggest drivers of Arctic air into this section of North America come when there's a stratospheric warming event, which seems to be kind of bridging the Arctic here, or the North Atlantic and the Arctic. It tend to be when there's a whole lot of heat happening there. And it's just not. So I'm not sure about this particular flavor of polar vortex split. And I'm also going to tell you this. When you get into March, polar vortex disruptions are not the same as in December, January, and February. Okay? So where do we finish with? What's all left up here? Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you this, Matt. I've been talking about these all week, all month. This is my March and April outlook based off of years that came out of La Nina and found themselves in El Nino. And I just want to point out, they had access to cold air. This doesn't mean every day is cold. That's one of the problems of showing you a map like this. Like, it's just going to be hot every day in Texas and cold every day in Montana and North Dakota. No, it's like every year. It fluctuates. We had more colder days than warmer here and more warmer days than cold there. That's what you need to see out of this. But it's interesting to see the temperature pattern. Here, according to the GFS, is the next 7 days. And then this is week 2. Okay. Then we get into week 3. Look, see that quarter opening back up? And then we get out there into week 4. And we just keep going. And the model seems to be into March, wanting to keep mild here. But take a look at the European. Okay, it's got a similar start. So here we go back to the beginning. Here's week 1. That's week 2. That's week 3. So that's to the 12th of March. This is week 4, right there. Now watch what it's trying to do. Just open up this big cold channel, and I don't know. I don't think it's going to be there, but I just have to question it because I showed you my analogs for March and April, and it tends to be a problem. So we're going to watch it. Okay. I will tell you this: the newest update just came out right after Matt recorded yesterday from the CPC, their 1 month outlook. And this is what they've got. They've got drier southwest, wetter Ohio Valley, Great Lakes states, wetter northwest, very mild to the south. And again, I'm most concerned about how dry this area stays going forward in this pattern. I do want to show you my analogs. And the reason I'm so concerned about it is because those years, when I look at March, they were drier in here. And they were wetter in the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, Delta. Now, where we don't agree is in California. Some of these years were really wet in California. The models are dry. So is the European. See this? But it is active and wet in this area, according to the model. Same thing for parts of the Northwest. This is my biggest concern. I want to know, will the spring severe weather hit this area hard? Okay, to finish this all up, I just need to make a couple of comments here. The western warm pool is still very warm, okay? But La Nina is dying and this warm water is sloshing back. And you can already see it here. I was just watching the latest update here. Let me just go and refresh this page. I was watching the latest update looking at, this is the South America side. This is the Indonesia side. And this is going down in depth in the Pacific. I mean, we are going to see a lot of warm water surface. The question is, will the trade winds slow down, reverse, stop? And right now, we start to see some of that, right? So here's our trade winds. I'm going to draw a line between the trade winds that are coming out of the east in blue and the westerly wind bursts. All right, so here's like a little gasp of La Nina. And then whenever you see this, and these start advancing farther and farther to the east, we're going to start to see more El Nino conditions coming through. And that brings me to this. The CPC has released its newest forecast for spring temperatures, and this is what they've got: April, May, and June. All right, we're just going to take these at face value. April, May, June from the CPC. This is April, May, June precipitation. And this is concerning because usually by May into June, we are watching this area light up with severe storms. And if it doesn't, if the severe storms are in the Delta or if they're in the Southeast more this year, then that's just an indicator that we could have some drought pressure that lasts into early summer. And again, I just come back to where we started. Okay, let's keep going. What about out there on the June, July, August temperatures? Now, I'll tell you something. Nearly every year that I've watched the CPC forecast from this point in winter, the summer temperature pattern, most years they're hot in the Northwest. They're hot in the Intermountain West, in the Great Basin. So this is a consistent bias, if you will, in their forecast. And they're drier there too. I don't agree on this. Now, it doesn't mean anything. I'm not criticizing NOAA. I think we're on a late monsoon, not a June, July, August, but like a late July, August, September arrival of the monsoon. And I think we're going to get a lot of ridge riding storms here because I am worried about Texas taking on the heat, to be honest with you. Okay? So we'll continue to analyze these, put them in all together with all the forecast models, and we'll build a story on this. I just want to finish up quickly on South America. After 8 straight weeks of record high NDVI, they're now below the historical high. In fact, it's still above average, but this is because of rapid harvest that we got the number that's a little lower. See how it kind of bends down here? It has a second peak here in April and May. That's the safrinha corn. I do want to point out how dry it has been. We've talked about this here, but there have been storms lately that have gotten into this area. Severe storms earlier this week that came through parts of Argentina. But big sections of Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay are still dry. And the newest forecast, holy cow, it went very dry for this area over the next 2 weeks. And this is critical. We're in grain fill in some of these areas, or pollination, and we're not seeing much precipitation at all. Meanwhile, if you're curious about the planting pace of safrinha crops and the harvest pace of first crop, especially soybeans, I've got a lot of region here in central and eastern Brazil that is looking at an extra, 50 millimeters of rain is 2 inches, 90 to 100 is 4 inches of rain. So over 2 weeks, an extra 2 to 4 inches of rain in this area. So this needs to be monitored carefully, and I think it could become at some point a newsworthy story in the markets, but I don't know. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for just listening. I had a lot on my chest, head, whatever, just talk about today, given the week I've been gone, and I'm excited to be home, and hopefully this forecast was useful for you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.